7 things I hate about the Ride1Up Core 5 electric bike. Of course, I don't actually hate the Core 5 electric bike. It's actually pretty awesome, but it's not perfect. And make sure you stay till the end because I'm gonna tell you about some of the things I love about this bike too. The first thing that I hate about this bike is it's pretty heavy. At 49 pounds, it's not exactly light. You know, a road bike weighs about low 20 pounds, and there are electric bikes out there like the KBO that weigh in the low 30 pounds. In comparison, a relatively light e-bike would be the KBO Stealth Hurricane. This weighs in the low 30s, I believe. Of course, the KBO does have its own drawbacks. 50 pounds isn't going to be necessarily easy to go upstairs if you need to. Next on my list of things I hate about the Core 5 is these hand grips. And it's not actually the hand grips themselves. These are ergonomic and they feel really good to hold on to, and they distribute the weight across your palm. The thing that I don't like about them is when you put your hand on them and put weight on them, they tend to rotate, so they don't stay in place. Of course, you could put some sort of glue or something on them to make them stick, but then they might not come off. Also, there is no mechanism here to lock them in place by tightening up a screw or something like that. The next thing I don't like about the Ride1Up Core 5 is it's noisy. The motor on this bike does make some noise, so if you want to ride in complete silence or hold a conversation with somebody next to you, you might find the motor on this bike to be a little bit annoying. So if you're looking for a perfectly quiet ride out in nature to enjoy some time in silence, you might not get that with the Core 5 electric bike. The next thing I hate about the Core 5 is the paint scratches easily. Like I said in my full review of this bike, I really like the color on the Ride1Up Core 5, but you do have to be extra careful while you're locking this bike up, and you have to be really careful not to chip the paint because it will come off pretty easily. Right here you can see where I chipped the paint once, and then down here there's some more imperfections from hitting up against bike racks. The next thing on my minor list of complaints with the Core 5 is the seat post is actually not the same thickness as the rest of my bikes. So personally, my favorite saddle is my Brooks saddle, and what I do is basically just, you know, when I want to ride this bike, I throw it straight on here. This same seat I can throw straight on the KBO. However, over here on the Ride1Up, it does have the wider seat post, so I cannot take this and drop it in here. Way too big. Then again, this is things that I hate about the Core 5, not necessarily things that are really going to be a problem for most people. So before we talk about the last 2 things I hate about the Core 5, it's not all hate. I actually really like the Core 5. So let me tell you about some of the things I love about this bike. And these are in no particular order, but the first thing that I really like about the Core 5 is actually the brakes and the stopping power. So in my initial review of the Core 5, which I'll put a link to up here, I said that the brakes weren't really that great, but that was my own fault. The reason why the brakes weren't so good for me to start with was because I didn't have them properly adjusted, and when I pulled these levers, they actually went all the way up to the grip, and they weren't grabbing onto the caliper all the way like they should have been. So what I did is I grabbed my Allen key and I adjusted this right here, and now the brakes work excellent. Another thing that I really like about the brakes is the actual levers. Right here, there is a soft touch padded part right here on the lever, so it makes it really comfortable when you grip these brakes to stop. Of course, they have the same thing on both sides. Considering this bike weighs 50 pounds, it does come to a stop really quickly. The next thing that I really like about the Core 5 is it has gears. So if you find yourself in a situation like this, where you have a big hill to climb, those gears really come in handy. Also, by making proper use of those gears, you can really extend the range of your battery. And of course, another one that everybody's talking about, and I've mentioned before, is the value of the Core 5. This bike's about $1,200. I have a link below this video in the description box to see current prices. But I mean, for $1,200 for this level of performance, it really is a good bang for the buck. Another thing that I really like about the Core 5 is the comfort. I really like the geometry of this bike. The big plush tires on here really absorb all the bumps like I mentioned in my full review. I put this seat on here to make it a little more comfortable, but the riser handlebars, these ergonomic grips, this really is a comfortable bike to ride, and I really do enjoy riding it. And of course, I know I mentioned it before, but the color. I really like the color of this bike. And of course, I love the thumb throttle because you can get yourself a good start off the line, and it's awesome just to be able to smash on that throttle whenever you want and really just take off. The other thing I really love about this bike is it comes with 5 levels of pedal assist right out of the box. You can change it to 9. I find 5 perfectly acceptable, But basically you can bump it down to 0 or 1 and get yourself a really good workout. I've been riding it on 3 basically all day today, or you can crank it up to 5 and just really have a great time. Okay, so let's talk about the final 2 things I hate about the Core 5. And honestly, I don't know if I should even include this in hate or not, but all right, just got back. The range. So I started this ride out this morning at 325 miles. We're at 347. So that comes out to a 22-mile ride, and most of the time I was on pedal assist 3. I did let my buddy borrow the bike for a short time. I just happened to bump into him. It'll take you up to 28. Wow. Give it a try, man. What do you think?
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
This is fun as your other bike, but pretty fun.
Oh yeah, the motorcycle.
Yeah, your e-motorcycle.
Yeah. Oh, you got it up to 32.
Yeah, man.
Dang, dude, I've never went that fast.
Yeah,
He took it up to 32 miles an hour, so he was really maxing it out. I did climb some hills too, but I did try to make good use of the gears as well. So 22 miles is solid for range, but you know, if you're looking to go for like a really long ride, you know, like 30 miles or 40 miles, range might be a concern after you start to get to those distances. And as that battery does start to wear down, when it gets down to like its last 20 or 30% of that battery life, you are not going to get the same level of power as you did on a full charge. So on those longer rides towards the end of the day, it might be a little bit less exciting for you to ride. Of course, if you do want multiple batteries, you can buy a second battery for this bike, but the downside to that is it's actually pretty darn expensive, almost 50% of the cost of the bike itself. And the final thing that I don't particularly love about the Core 5 is the charger. So it comes with this D-Power 2 amp charger. If you look right here, you can see the output is 2 amps, 54.6 volts. Now the thing that I don't like about it is this thing does take quite a while to charge. So if you think you can just plug this thing in and it's gonna be fully charged up in like 20 minutes or 40 minutes, that's just not the case at all. It takes actually more like an hour or 2 to get a significant charge on this battery. Now this isn't gonna be a problem for most people. Most people aren't out there looking to do 2 rides back to back. But if you do want a really quick recharge time, the Core 5 does not recharge quickly. So this concludes my list of things that I hate and also love about the Core 5. I do have a link below this video in the description box so you can check out the Core 5, see what the current prices are, and if you would like to support Tail Happy TV, if you did buy through that link, it would help support this channel at no additional cost to you. And of course, I would greatly appreciate your support. So thanks for watching, guys. Give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share with a friend, and I'll see you in my next video. Nice ergonomic grips.
This is just insane. And also the I don't know what the word would be, the thrust, whatever.
Power.
Yeah, that's in this, in level 1. It seems to give you more like initial thrust than like even the KVO.
Well, another thing about that is this bike has gears, so like you're on like an acceleration gear.
Yeah. Oh, acceleration, not the thrust.
Yeah,
acceleration is so nice in this. Like